Do you have spiritual amnesia? You might if something like this has ever happened to you. Some years ago, I was at an event, huge marketing event. I used to go to them all the time. And I didn't really know anyone there. And during the break, there was a woman that I had been talking to. She was an attorney and she worked with compliance for a big, big, world famous sporting goods company. She was living in Europe. She was an American living in Europe. And we just had just light conversation like you would at a conference. We went on a break. And during the break, I received this, I can only call now a spiritual download, a direct DM, divine DM, basically telling me exactly a message I needed to give to her. Now, I didn't know at the time what this was going to mean. I thought I was constructing a landing page for her business, just as a helpful thing. And so I went to my room at the hotel and there was a business center there and I wrote out, I literally typed out on my computer a landing page that she could use like an opt-in. And I printed it out. I went to the business center and I got it printed out and I put it in my bag and I went back in and we were still on the break. And so I was looking for her and I saw her standing in the aisle next to her seat. They had these wide aisles and folding chairs or whatever on both sides. So I went up to her and I said, "Can I give you something?" And she was like, "Sure." So I had this idea for you for a landing page. So, but I feel like I need to read it to you so you really get the message from the perspective of your prospects. And would that be okay? And she was like, "Oh, yeah, okay." So we're standing there, and I take out my paper and I begin reading. And I get to one specific line. And when I read it, she recoils just in shock and she sits down really fast and she starts getting emotional and I'm feeling this emotion waving over me and I'm getting chills and I'm like, what is it? What is it? So what was the line that did that? Remember, she was an attorney and she worked in compliance for sporting goods companies. And the line, I don't have it exact, but it was something along the lines of this: "I'll be a guardian angel for your business." And as soon as I read that, that's when she had the reaction. Now, we, remember, had not talked about anything else to do with her business, her spiritual beliefs, anything like that. But I just felt prompted to write this message for her. So as we began to decipher what it was that she was feeling, we both sat down and she started telling me a story. And she said some years ago, she and her sisters had been gathering together to take care of their mom. Their mom was in the last stages of cancer on hospice, and they were there just to be with her and to comfort her and just experience all of it with her, support her. And this particular woman was particularly close to her mom. And so the other sisters had been dispersed for various errands, and she was the only one home at the time with her mom. And her mom took her hand and said, "I want to tell you this while we have a chance, just the two of us." And she talked about her depth of love for her daughter and how she knew how difficult the coming days were going to be. And she said, "But I have something for you so that you never forget our connection." And so the woman at the event is looking at me and saying, she's got her handbag up now, and she says, "And I carry it with me everywhere." And she reaches into her bag and she pulls something out. She takes my hand and she puts it on my hand. And I looked at it and it was a flat pewter figure of a guardian angel. And she just looked at me and she said, "This is a message from my mom. You've just delivered a message from my mother." Well, I get chills all over. I call it my chillometer. I've got chills all over even just sharing the story with you again. So the point of this, the spiritual amnesia that can happen, is that we have deep connections to the divine source that's part of our life, however that appears for you, whatever that looks like for you, whatever you call that. For me, I call that God and my angels and spiritual guides. And for whatever reason, I received this very powerful prompt to, in a framework of what I was already doing at the time. At the time, I was very much doing copywriting marketing strategy. And so I wrote an actual marketing piece for her about what she does in her business, but it was embedded with a message meant specifically for her that she interpreted as being from her mom, that had 100% relevance to her life and to any doubt she might be feeling or any comfort she needed that I knew nothing about. Again, we had never met outside of a few minutes of conversation at this conference. So the question is, when do you ever get messages like that? Because spiritual amnesia, when I refer to that, it's like we are given glimpses. Sometimes the door is thrown wide open into what is possible from our divine assignment for the thing we're meant to do, for the vessel that we are to serve others, to be there for someone else who needs something only we can provide. And we get glimpses and hints and virtual smacks to the head of reminders. I told you all about this on the desolate highway in Utah, when I received one of those, and I have many more that I'm going to be sharing with you in the coming days. But this one was really, they're all special. And what they have in common is that I don't even know that I'm specifically delivering a message, or if I do have a thought that I don't know what it means. I don't know. I have to trust. I have to connect to that spiritual source. The question is, she went on to have a thriving business and doing all the things that she was at this event to put into place for what she wanted to do with her business. What would have happened if I had not delivered that message? What if there's messages you're meant to deliver, but you're holding back because spiritual amnesia is kicked in the form of doubt, in the form of not remembering who you truly are, in the form of imposter syndrome, in the form of maybe they'll think I'm crazy, all the things that can happen in our conscious mind. So if you are meant for something more, if like me, you're past 50 and you know that life is on earth is finite and that, we're closer to this end than we were to that end. And there's more of an urgency for ourselves personally to step into the light of what we're meant for, to step up to what we're meant to do, what we are built for, but what we often have forgotten. Why have we forgotten? Well, we've been programmed from a very young age by other people, by other influences, by other belief systems. We've taken it in. Our mind has taken it in at a very deep level, to the point where we may not even recognize what has happened there or how many layers are in the way, or we're fixated on what we think is the issue. Think is the key here, because we just keep ruminating and cogitating and running the same loop over and over because it's familiar, because that's the only way we know to approach it, because it's a habit of thought, because it's deeply embedded to the point where it has become a belief that we tell ourselves is true about ourselves. But what if it isn't? What if when we start peeling back the layers in just a gentle, natural, easy way, you suddenly realize the wisdom that's already there, buried underneath these other layers, shoved into the corner by the other layers, dimmed by the other layers? And what if even just one conversation could begin to reveal what's really under all of that? To the point where, like one of my clients said recently to me, I just feel better. I just feel so much better today. And I'm doing things without getting tired. And I don't even know why, but it's just amazing. What if that happened for you? Well, I'm going to tell you exactly how it can, because I am so called to do this work, to help one woman at a time peel back that layer, find that source, remember who you really are, remember where you're really going, what you desire to be able to create in your life, We're not talking about magical unicorns and sparkly dust. If I just think it hard enough, it'll happen. No, actually, it may entirely be the other way around because you're so focused on the negative aspect of an outcome that you desire that without even knowing that you're doing it accidentally, you are reinforcing it over and over and over. You're literally reprogramming in the old junk that was running the system for years, possibly. So, if you would love to experience, without any obligation whatsoever, what it might feel like to remember, to shine a light on that spiritual amnesia and just allow it to crumble into dust so that you can truly see and feel what's under there. If you're even a little bit curious about that, of what might surprise you, that you will understand or see so much more clearly, I invite you to book a call with me. It's absolutely free, about 20 minutes. I'm going to put the link in the description. I call it a seeing call because together, having a simple conversation, you're going to start to see what's in the way. You're going to start to see where that spiritual amnesia is hiding and possibly why. And you might not even need to know why. It's just that we can move it aside in a gentle, easy way that feels really affirming, encouraging. Even some people tell me it's even exciting because they suddenly realize what's possible. They see the beginning of that door opening. I'm not here to fix you. I'm here to help bend reality with you when you shift into a new way of seeing and thinking about what's possible for you. Because you're not your thoughts. Even though I said thinking, you're the thinker of your thoughts. That's fine. But it's not who you are. It's not who you are, that deepest part of you, which we call identity. That is, the thoughts are not that. That, that part of you that is heart and soul, that's the part that can lead the way. That's the part that we easily forget. That's the part that is probably getting ignored in so many ways because we're caught up in the habits of thinking it a different way, the old way, the way we've always done it. And how's that working for you? If you're curious to find out what this would be like, just book the call. Absolutely free, no catch. I am really looking forward to speaking with you, and I'm going to include a couple of other ways we can get acquainted that are absolutely free. I couldn't wait to share this story with you. As I said, I get chills even just retelling it every time I revisit it. I'm amazed at what happened during that conversation. And if you'd love to hear some more stories like this about how God works in my life and how what your spiritual source can work in yours and how it all comes together because you are meant for this, stick around. I've got more for you. This is Tina Lorenz. I am 75 years old. I am on the mountaintop of looking back over experiences that I've been through and what has led me to this point now, where my mission now is to help women like you find the path that is perfect for them. I will be talking to you again soon. Until then, have an amazing rest of your day.